on Channel 33, Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. It was Saturday Fright at the Movies with your host, Count Cool Rider, a vampire that loved the king, that loved Elvis.
When news broke that Danny Koker, the leather-vested legend from Counting Cars, was fighting to save his show from cancellation, fans were stunned. What really happened behind the cameras? Was it the fake CBD scandal that nearly destroyed his relationship with the History Channel, or something deeper that threatened everything he'd built? Stick with us as we uncover the real reason Danny Koker nearly lost Counting Cars, and what it means now.
Motorcycles, cars, music, three things that I grew up in, and I'm blessed enough to be able to continue to do all three of those things.
Danny the Count Koker wasn't just another reality TV personality. When Counting Cars launched in 2012, he'd already made a name for himself as the go-to classic car expert on Pawn Stars, where his encyclopedic knowledge and unmistakable style caught producers' attention. Born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1964, Danny grew up surrounded by both music and motors. His father, Daniel Koker Sr., worked at Ford Motor Company in Detroit, while moonlighting as a musician with groups like the Oak Ridge Boys and Mahalia Jackson. By age 11, young Danny was performing at Carnegie Hall with his family band, the Koker Family Singers, learning showmanship that would serve him decades later. But it was cars that truly captured his soul. The Ford connection through his father meant Danny spent childhood weekends elbow deep in engine bays, learning that every vehicle had a story written in rust and oil. He became a self-taught mechanic, obsessed not just with making cars run, but with resurrecting their souls. Moving to Las Vegas in the 1980s, Danny started Count's Customs in his own garage, slowly building a reputation as the guy who could breathe new life into forgotten steel. The Vegas move wasn't random. Danny saw opportunity in a city built on showmanship and excess. He understood that in Vegas, everything had to be bigger, bolder, more theatrical. Even before television came calling, Danny was cultivating his image. From 1990 to 2000, he hosted a B-horror movie showcase on local Vegas station KFBT called Saturday Fright at the Movies, where he dressed as a vampire/Elvis impersonator called Count Cool Rider. The nickname stuck, the persona evolved, but the theatrical flair remained. The shop wasn't just a business. It was Danny's temple to American automotive history. By the time Rick Harrison from Gold and Silver Pawn Shop started calling him in as an expert, Count's Customs had already been operating for over 20 years. When the History Channel came calling with a spin-off opportunity, they weren't just buying a shop. They were buying into Danny's larger-than-life persona, complete with his signature bandana and leather vest that made him instantly recognizable. They were buying decades of expertise wrapped in Vegas showmanship. Count's Customs quickly became appointment television for gearheads across America. The show's formula was simple but addictive. Danny and his crew would restore, customize, and flip classic cars while cameras captured every heated negotiation and mechanical miracle. That first episode set the tone perfectly. Rick Harrison's 1967 Mustang Fastback arrived rough and left as a bullet tribute that had viewers rewinding to catch every detail. The transformation wasn't just mechanical, it was emotional, spiritual even. Viewers weren't just watching car restoration, they were witnessing resurrection, transformation, and the American dream painted in automotive primer and clear coat. The casting was television gold. Danny's team became stars in their own right, each bringing unique personality and expertise. Kevin Mack, his right-hand man and best friend for 20 years, brought steady expertise and served as Danny's voice of reason when ambitious builds threatened to spiral out of control. Roli Sabo, the Hungarian detailer, handled the finishing work with obsessive precision, his thick accent and meticulous nature making him a fan favorite. Ryan Evans laid down paint jobs that belonged in museums, transforming bare metal into rolling artwork. Shannon Akow engineered motorcycle magic that Danny called a number one work. His quiet expertise balancing the shop's louder personalities. But that wasn't the whole story. Behind the cameras, more colorful characters added to the chemistry. Horny Mike. Henry brought his eccentric personality and horn-obsessed designs that viewers either loved or hated. There was no middle ground. Big Ryan, the shop's picker and parts expert, could find impossible components in Vegas's sprawling junkyards. Grandpa doing bodywork with old-school techniques younger workers had never seen. Joseph Doc Duggan integrated modern technology into classic builds, bridging eras. Together, they weren't just mechanics. They were artists working in steel and chrome, each episode a masterclass in automotive alchemy. The numbers validated what viewers already knew. This was special television. By its third season, Counting Cars was pulling in over 2 million viewers per episode, making it one of History Channel's most reliable ratings performers. The show consistently won its time slot, beating network competition with a formula that seemed unbeatable. International syndication followed, spreading Count's Customs fame globally. The money followed the fame like chrome follows polish.
But I know a project when I see one, and I feel like Ryan's in deep on this car. You're kind of reminding me of me right now.
Reports suggested Danny was earning $100,000 per episode by the show's peak, putting him among reality TV's highest-paid personalities. His personal collection grew exponentially, over 58 cars and 77 motorcycles, each with a story, each camera ready. The collection included everything from classic Cadillacs to custom choppers, housed in a warehouse that looked more like a museum than storage. But Danny understood something crucial about Vegas' success: diversification. Count's Vamped Rock Bar and Grill opened its doors, a 6,000-square-foot venue featuring live music 7 nights a week, with Danny's band Count's 77 as regular headliners. The Count's Tattoo Company followed, offering ink as permanent as the automotive art Danny created.
About this Superfly Cadillac ever since I was a kid.
This car does make it a lot easier to look cool, though.
Dude, without a doubt. Are you kidding me? I love it.
The Desert Moon Hotel came next. Each business fed the others, creating a Count's empire that made Danny Koker not just a television personality, but a Vegas institution. A brand unto himself worth an estimated $13 million. But success in reality television comes with invisible chains that slowly tighten around everything you've built. The production schedule was absolutely relentless. 22 episodes per season meant constant filming, with cameras rolling 10 to 12 hours daily. Each restoration had to be bigger than the last, every flip more profitable, every interpersonal conflict more explosive for the editing bay. The pressure to deliver wow moments for television began affecting the actual restoration work in ways viewers never saw. According to online reviews that began surfacing around 2015, some Count's Customs customers complained about delays stretching months beyond promised deadlines, unfinished work that didn't match television standards, and cars that didn't match what was promised in initial consultations. The disconnect between television Count's Customs and real-world Count's Customs was growing wider with each season.
The handful of gentlemen that I worked with and myself, we said, what do we call ourselves?
One customer claimed they waited over a year for work that was supposed to take 3 months. Another said their classic car came back with problems it didn't have when dropped off. The show's format demanded that Danny cruise Vegas streets, making spontaneous offers on cars he spotted in parking lots and driveways. But these random encounters were reportedly often prearranged by producers days or weeks in advance. Car owners would be contacted, agreements negotiated, releases signed, all before Danny's trademark black Cadillac accidentally rolled past. The negotiations viewers saw, the surprise on owners' faces, the handshake deals sealed with cash. Much of it was allegedly choreographed for maximum television impact.
I guarantee you something here, man. You're not going to want to give this thing.
Reality TV's dirty secret is that reality is boring. Drama sells. Financial pressures mounted exponentially. Running a high-end restoration shop in Vegas meant massive overhead, monthly rent on multiple buildings, specialized equipment costing hundreds of thousands, salaries for skilled craftsmen who could work anywhere.
Where did the nickname The Count come from? We developed a character named Count Cool Rider, CC Rider.
The show brought publicity, but also crushing obligations. Every build had to be camera ready, meaning extra time on cosmetic details that wouldn't matter in a normal restoration. Every deadline had to accommodate filming schedules, union rules, producer demands. Danny found himself caught between being a legitimate businessman, serving real customers, and playing a character for cameras. The editing amplified conflicts between crew members that barely existed in real life, creating storylines from thin air. A 5-minute disagreement about paint color would become an episode-long dramatic arc. The shop that Danny had built from passion was becoming a content factory, and the strain was showing in every rushed restoration and manufactured moment of drama. Something had to give.
American icon. He's been sitting on this thing for 25 years.
While cameras rolled on custom builds and celebrity cars, Danny was fighting battles viewers never saw. Battles that would eventually threaten everything he'd built. In 2014, just 2 years after the show premiered, a Las Vegas couple filed a lawsuit against Count's Customs that would mark the beginning of a series of legal troubles. They'd brought in their 1967 Ford Mustang, hoping for television glory and a world-class restoration that would make them famous by association. Instead, according to court documents filed with the Clark County Court, they got delays, excuses, and eventually discovered no work had even begun on their vehicle after months of waiting.
And when we first started the show, I really thought we were doing a show about building cars and motorcycles for people. It evolved into a show about people and their story.
The car sat untouched in the shop's back lot while filming continued on other projects. When they requested a refund after learning their Mustang wasn't even the model year they'd been told, it was allegedly denied. The lawsuit sought $50,000 in damages, claiming breach of contract and fraud. While the case was eventually settled out of court, it established a pattern of customer dissatisfaction that would haunt the show's reputation. But that legal drama paled compared to what came next. In 2017, Count's Customs discovered that Joseph Frontiera, a former employee they'd hired through Randstad Professional Staffing Agency, had allegedly embezzled over $75,000 from the company over the course of several months. According to the lawsuit filed in March of that year, Frontiera had systematically drained company accounts for personal use.
What a great name, Monsignor Demon Hunting Wolf.
The details were shocking. Frontiera had used company funds for a down payment on his personal Land Rover Range Rover. He'd purchased airline tickets for personal vacations on the company credit card. Most audaciously, he'd reportedly had signature stamps made of Danny Koker and Kevin Mack's signatures to sign checks in their absence, essentially giving himself unlimited access to company funds.
Where did the nickname The Count come from? Thank you for asking a great question.
The alleged theft resulted in an IRS penalty of approximately $18,000 for late tax payments, because Frontiera had been pocketing the money meant for taxes. Here's where it gets complicated. The embezzlement wasn't discovered immediately because Frontiera had been hired specifically to handle the company's finances. He had access to everything: bank accounts, credit cards, tax documents. By the time the theft was discovered, Frontiera had fled to Florida. A warrant was issued for his arrest on felony theft charges, but he remained at large while Counts Customs tried to recover their losses through civil litigation. The stress of running a television show, a custom shop, multiple businesses, and dealing with legal battles was taking its toll on everyone involved. Scott Jones, the shop's manager and Danny's bookkeeper since the show's beginning, left between the second and third seasons, moving to Tennessee after the birth of his son. His departure was barely mentioned on screen, but insiders knew it signaled growing tensions behind the scenes.
I'm a huge horror movie fan, a huge horror movie buff. I grew up watching horror films.
Danny's passion project had become a corporate machine, and he was losing control of the narrative both on and off screen. The countdown to crisis had begun. Then came the incident that nearly destroyed everything Danny had built. In 2021, fake CBD companies began using Danny's image without permission to sell products online. These scammers created elaborate fake advertisements showing Danny on Fox News promoting CBD oil and gummies. The ads were sophisticated, using real screenshots from Danny's actual Fox News appearances, but adding fake captions and quotes. Customers who thought they were buying Danny Koker-endorsed products were being scammed, with some reporting they paid for products that never arrived. The History Channel executives were reportedly furious. According to Danny himself in a 2025 interview, the network and I had a falling out over this. All of that was a lie. The fake CBD scandal created a massive trust issue between Danny and the network. History Channel had strict standards about their personalities' business ventures, and even though Danny had nothing to do with the scams, the association was damaging their brand. Danny hired a legal team to combat the fake ads, but the damage was spreading faster than they could contain it. Meanwhile, the show's ratings had been steadily declining since 2019.
Out of the city of Detroit, out of the city of Cleveland, watched a lot of horror films and hosted horror films.
Where Counting Cars once pulled over 2 million viewers, by 2021 it was struggling to break 1 million. The COVID-19 pandemic had created additional chaos, production delays, supply chain issues for car parts, and restrictions on filming all contributed to a perfect storm of problems. The History Channel's official stance was that Counting Cars was simply taking a production break. But insiders reportedly knew the truth. The show was hanging by a thread. The network was shifting focus toward scripted dramas and away from reality shows, seeing better ratings and lower production costs in that direction. Counting Cars, with its expensive builds and complicated filming logistics, was becoming harder to justify. Danny's team tried to control the narrative. They emphasized that Counts Customs was still open, still building cars, still serving customers. The shop's social media showed business as usual, gleaming customs rolling out, new builds in progress, happy customers taking delivery. But eagle-eyed fans noticed the builds were smaller, the celebrity clients fewer, the updates less frequent. Something had fundamentally changed. The fake news sites didn't help. Stories spread claiming Danny had been arrested for drug possession, sentenced to 30 days in jail. Other sites claimed he'd died, or his wife Corey had been killed in a car accident. None of it was true, but each false story chipped away at the Counting Cars brand, making it toxic for advertisers and problematic for the network. By late 2021, the decision was made. Counting Cars would not return for a season 11.
When I first moved here to Las Vegas in 1988, late 88.
The Last New episode, Danny's Dream Bends, aired on December 1st, 2021, without fanfare or announcement that it would be the series finale. There was no goodbye special, no retrospective, no chance for fans to say farewell. The show simply stopped, leaving viewers wondering what had happened. Danny faced a choice: fight for the show or focus on his business. According to reports, creative differences between Danny and producers had been growing for years. Danny wanted to focus more on the cars and restoration process, while producers pushed for more personal drama and manufactured conflicts. The fake CBD scandal had been the final straw, but the relationship had been deteriorating long before those scammers entered the picture. The COVID-19 pandemic's impact on production made the decision easier for the network. With filming restrictions, supply chain disruptions, and increased costs, producing Counting Cars had become logistically nightmarish.
They wanted a horror movie host, a late-night horror movie host to host horror films, and I got elected to be the guy.
The automotive industry itself was in chaos. Chip shortages meant new cars were scarce, driving up prices for classics and making the kind of deals Danny was famous for nearly impossible. The cancellation of Counting Cars sent shockwaves through the automotive reality TV world. For 10 seasons and nearly a decade, Danny and his crew had been fixtures in American living rooms. The show had spawned merchandise, tourist visits to Count's Customs, and countless imitators trying to capture the same magic. Now it was gone, another casualty of changing television economics and pandemic disruption. Count's Customs faced its own challenges without the show's promotional power. Tourist visits dropped significantly. The shop had offered free daily tours showcasing cars from the show, but without new episodes driving interest, foot traffic declined. The merchandise sales that had provided steady income slowed to a trickle. Danny had to pivot, focusing on high-end clients who weren't seeking television fame but genuine craftsmanship. The crew scattered somewhat. While core members like Kevin Mack stayed with Count's Customs, others pursued different opportunities. The chemistry that had made the show special was harder to maintain without cameras rolling. The shop continued operating, but it was a different animal now, less Hollywood, more old-school Vegas custom shop. Danny didn't disappear when the cameras stopped rolling. He doubled down on his music career with Count's 77, playing regular gigs at Count's Vamped, and touring when possible. The band's classic rock sound, stuck somewhere between 1977 and Never, found its audience among Vegas locals and tourists seeking authentic entertainment. Music had always been Danny's first love, inherited from his father, and now he had time to pursue it properly. He also launched a YouTube channel called Count's Culture during the pandemic, attempting to capture the Counting Cars magic in a new format. The channel showed behind-the-scenes content, smaller builds, and the reality of running a custom shop during COVID. But without History Channel's production budget and promotional machine, the channel struggled to find the same massive audience. It was honest content, showing the struggles and triumphs without manufactured drama. But that authenticity couldn't compete with slick reality TV. Count's Customs evolved too.
To host horror films, and we developed a character named Count Cool Rider. Count Cool Rider, CC Rider, was the biggest. He was a vampire.
Without the pressure to create television moments, the shop could focus on quality over quantity. Builds became more elaborate, timelines more realistic, customer satisfaction reportedly improved. The shop's social media showcased incredible customs and motorcycles, proving that Danny's skills hadn't diminished even if his television presence had. The biggest misconception is that Danny Koker was somehow responsible for Counting Cars' cancellation. The truth is more complex. He was caught in a perfect storm of declining ratings, network strategy changes, pandemic disruption, and a devastating fake scandal that wasn't his fault. The CBD scam stories persist online, with people still believing Danny endorsed products he never touched. These fake ads damaged not just his reputation, but his relationship with the network that made him famous.
Which was also the biggest Elvis fan that was a vampire living in Las Vegas, and that was the character. And I used to host on television here.
Another myth is that Count's Customs closed after the show ended. The shop remains open, offering tours and continuing to build customs. The Count's Customs Museum showcases Danny's personal collection and memorable builds from the show's history. Business continues, just without cameras documenting every moment. Some people also believe Danny was arrested or jailed, stories that originated from clickbait sites mixing up lawsuits against his business with criminal charges that never existed. People misunderstand the impact of the embezzlement scandal, too. Joseph Frontiera allegedly stole from Count's Customs. Danny was the victim, not the perpetrator. But online rumors twisted the story, making it seem like Danny himself was involved in financial crimes. These false narratives spread faster than truth, especially when mixed with the fake CBD advertisements. Despite its controversial end, Counting Cars left an indelible mark on automotive television. The show proved that car restoration could draw mainstream audiences, not just gearheads. It made Danny Koker a household name and Count's Customs, a destination for car enthusiasts visiting Vegas. The series inspired countless people to pursue automotive restoration, to see potential in rusted metal, to believe that American craftsmanship still mattered. Danny's approach to business, mixing multiple ventures from cars to music to hospitality, became a template for reality TV stars looking to build lasting enterprises beyond television. His Counts brand transcended the show, encompassing a lifestyle and attitude that resonated with viewers who missed authentic American cool. The bandana, the leather vest, the rock and roll attitude, it wasn't just costume, it was Danny being Danny. The technical quality of Counts Customs.
Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. It was Saturday Fright at the Movies with your host, Count Cool Rider, a vampire that loved the king, that loved Elvis.
Work influenced the custom car industry. Their paint jobs, engineering solutions, and attention to detail set standards that other shops aspired to match. Even without the show, builds from Counts Customs command premium prices and respect in the collector car community. Today's Danny Koker operates in a different world than the one that launched Counting Cars in 2012. Social media has replaced traditional television as the primary way car enthusiasts discover new builds. YouTube channels and Instagram accounts can launch careers without network involvement. Danny adapted partially, maintaining an active social media presence, but he's from a generation that values face-to-face interaction over digital engagement. The custom car industry itself has evolved.
And that's where the nickname The Count came from. So behind the scenes, I was doing cars, my bikes, was the love, was the hobby.
Electric conversions, resto mods with modern technology, and six-figure builds for tech billionaires have replaced many traditional restorations. Count's Customs has adapted, taking on more ambitious projects without the constraints of television production schedules. But Danny remains committed to preserving automotive history, not just modernizing it. And then, everything changed. In 2025, Danny gave his first major interview addressing the show's end and the scandals that plagued his final years on television. He seemed at peace, focused on his businesses and music, rather than chasing television fame. The man who once counted cars for cameras now counts real success in satisfied customers and preserved automotive history. The story of Danny Koker and Counting Cars reflects larger truths about reality television, fame, and American entrepreneurship. The same format that made Danny famous ultimately constrained him. The pressure to create drama, to deliver ratings, to be on constantly. Conflicts with the patient craftsmanship required for quality restoration. Reality TV promises to show truth, but often manufactures fiction, and that tension eventually breaks even the strongest personalities. The fake CBD scandal highlights how vulnerable public figures are to digital exploitation.
And the city of Las Vegas knew Count Cool Rider, knew the Count. And so when I decided to turn my hobby into a business...
Scammers can destroy reputations built over decades with sophisticated fake advertisements. Danny's experience serves as a warning. Fame makes you a target, and the internet makes targeting easy. No amount of legal action can fully undo the damage of viral lies. But there's also inspiration in Danny's story. He built Count's Customs from nothing, created multiple successful businesses, and survived the cancellation of his show with his reputation largely intact. He adapted to changing circumstances, pursued his passions, and maintained his authenticity even when television demanded otherwise. Danny Koker nearly lost everything to forces beyond his control, fake scandals, network politics, and a pandemic that disrupted the entire world. But the Count is still counting, still building, still rocking with Count 77 on Vegas stages. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but the real Danny Koker, the one who fell in love with cars in his father's Detroit garage, never needed them anyway. His true legacy isn't in television ratings or manufactured drama. It's in every classic car saved from the scrapyard, every customer's dream made real in steel and chrome. Count's Customs remains open, its doors welcoming those who understand that some things can't be faked. Genuine passion, real craftsmanship, and the uniquely American art of making something beautiful from something forgotten.
The handful of gentlemen that I worked with and myself, we said, what do we call ourselves? Let's call ourselves Count's Customs, because everybody in Vegas knew the Count.
If this story shed light on what really happened to one of television's most colorful characters, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next chapter in the ever-evolving world of automotive television. Share this with fellow gearheads who've wondered what really happened when counting cars went dark. And remember, not everything you read online about your favorite personalities is true. Sometimes the real story is more complicated, more human, and ultimately more interesting than any manufactured drama could ever be.